Are you having cups of tea?
I've just finished.
Yeah.
What are you drinking? Something American-centric, like
No.
Caribou? Nothing.
No, I had a cup of tea and I just sort of downed it.
Now you're in a hot car.
Yeah, hot steamy car.
They're warning you. Yeah, they warn you not to leave your podcast hosts in a hot car in case they expire. Damn.
Not good, not good. So, what time is it over there?
It is 11:48 in the morning.
Ooh.
What is it? It's a 4-hour time difference now, isn't it?
At the moment, I think until
Yeah.
next week.
Until next week.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a bunch of arse, isn't it? Oh,
Yeah.
Christ.
There we go. So
That sums it up.
that's it. So should we crack on?
Welcome to episode 7. 7, my lucky number of the BAM podcast. A podcast talking about comics and comic-related things. Joined, as always, is not the way to start this sentence. I am joined, as always, by Stu. Hi, Stu.
Hello.
And then 1,100,000 miles away is Carly. Hi, Carly.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah,
Hello.
She's been banished.
Exactly.
Like the start of Superman, we've chucked her in a
Yeah.
big triangle.
Off
Yeah.
the colonies.
Yeah, sent her away for her
And I'm
crimes.
doing a mime trying to get out. Help!
it.
I'm in a transparent triangle.
Well remembered.
Yeah.
Good product knowledge.
Doing
Thank-
your best Terence Stamp.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I mean, Superman's got absolutely no relevance to today's show, but well remembered.
We'll crack on. We'll
nevertheless.
crack on.
Uh,
So whereabouts are you, Carly, for listeners?
I am currently in the city that brought you The Wire, Baltimore City, representing.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
Let me do a showbiz cough a minute. Better out than in.
I'll join you. Very graceful.
So, Baltimore City, as we should say, she,
Shit.
which will
Yeah,
be
that's
lost. It'll be lost in everyone who's never seen The Wire.
If you watch it again, he doesn't say it as often as you thought he did as well, if you watch the series again.
Yeah, you just want to remember him saying it.
Yeah.
But this is completely lost to anyone who hasn't watched The Fire.
No,
The
that's fair enough.
Fire.
The Fire, or The Wire.
The Fire. Let's stop talking about The Wire. Let's talk about comics.
Cool.
Comics are cool. What have we got? We're trying to convince people comics are
I'm
cool.
sorry,
Stop
but that's
laughing.
Timmy Mallet moment, though.
What Timmy Mallet moment? He wasn't in The Wire.
No, I know, but it was that kind of like kids' TV show. Cool.
Cool.
Let's get really enthusiastic over comics.
Comics are awesome.
My wife left me.
But have a plaster.
Yeah.
Oh god, I'm starting coughing again. Death by podcast.
Cool.
Cool.
So, this time round,
Tell us what's in the show, Stu.
we are going to talk about Iron Fist.
Iron Fist. Yeah, we are going to talk about Iron Fist. Hear it here before you see it on TV.
Sometime next year.
Sometime next year. We've done the research, so you don't have to.
You can listen to us whittle on about it. So,
Yeah.
actually, only Neil and I have actually read this. Carly's kind of not had a chance. Did you have a chance to read Power Man and Iron Fist, the new one?
No, I've been
didn't.
reading The Troop.
Oh.
Ooh, Carly's been reading comics, everyone.
Okay, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. So, Iron Fist.
Well, why are we talking about Iron Fist, first and foremost?
So, a couple of weeks ago, they confirmed that Finn Jones from Game of Thrones is playing Danny Rand Iron Fist in the Netflix TV show.
That's alright, I don't know who Finn Jones is either.
He
No one
was-
knows.
Was it Loris? He was Marjorie's brother.
Oh,
But
crumbs.
he-
Like one of these expendable characters.
Yeah, isn't he supposed to be engaged to Cersei? But he's gay and he's having an affair with one of the one of the squires or something, isn't it? So
Yeah, yeah.
him, it's basically. But I think at the end of the last series, spoilers, doesn't he get arrested for being gay and
Yes.
banged up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's about to be reborn as Marvel's Iron Fist.
So that's it. That's the fourth character finally confirmed. So we've had 1 season of Jessica Jones.
Yep.
2 seasons now of Daredevil.
Yep.
Luke Cage,
It's on his way.
30th of September they've confirmed.
He's coming.
And this is it. The final one is Iron Fist. I imagine it must start filming soon. Now they've confirmed that he's on board.
They'll need to.
Yeah.
So Iron Fist is a master of kung fu, no less.
Yeah. So this goes back to it's 1974, at the height of the kind of martial arts movie craze. So you would have had Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
So Marvel kind of jumped on this.
As they do.
As they do.
As they did.
Yeah, but actually going back to the Netflix thing, did you see a lot of the fuss people were making when they confirmed
Yes.
Finn Jones was playing it? So do you understand why they were kicking off about it?
Yeah.
Why were they kicking off about it, Carly?
They're kicking off about it because, well, see, this is the problem. I was having a conversation about this with a good friend of mine out here.
You're not allowed to have other friends to talk to comics about.
Transatlantic friends.
Oh.
Yeah, we were having a discussion about it because obviously Iron Fist is in the comics, in the original comics, was white.
Yeah.
The master of kung fu. And the issue is now in 2016, things have obviously moved on quite a lot, and there's a bit of confusion as to why an Asian American actor wouldn't have been cast as Iron Fist. But then the argument is that in the original comic books, he was never Asian.
That's right.
But
go on.
I've got strong opinions on this. So,
buckle up.
Yeah, but I'll let you carry on. And
well, okay. No, that's right. You're absolutely right. I think, Danny Rand, for the purposes of people who don't know the character particularly well, so a brief synopsis of the origin is a young Daniel Rand is in like a Tibetan, I think he's in Tibet, if I remember rightly, with his mother and father, and joined by a somewhat dubious gentleman.
Yeah.
Who ends up killing Danny's father by kicking him off a cliff.
Yeah, Danny's dad's business partner joins them. He's got an evil mustache.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you know it? They're searching for the lost city of Kunlun.
Yes.
Which I believe is exactly how that's pronounced.
If it's not, it should be.
Yeah. They're looking for a lost city. Mysterious businessman kills the dad.
Yeah.
Mum and son run off. They make it to a rope bridge, but they're being chased by wolves. And Mum decides to throw herself into the wolves to slow the wolves down, which is pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
And young Danny is saved by Kunlun archers just in the nick of time. And then he's brought into the city, which only appears once every 10 years. And there he is taught the ways of the mighty Kung Fu.
I'm sold. That's it. That's pretty much, that kind of sums it up. So I think
it's kind of a weird, I don't know whether it's lost in the 70s-ness of it all. But it's kind of very matter of fact, like, oh, well, you're here now. Your dad probably wanted you to come here and learn Kung Fu, so learn Kung Fu with us. And he does, and he becomes the best.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. It was very much I think now today's audiences are a bit more sophisticated. They kind of want to have a bit more explanation as to why these things happen. I think you could just do that. You could say, oh, here's a city, it only appears every 10 years. Lost your mum and dad. Oh, sorry about that. But you could be with us for 10 years.
Which superhero hasn't lost his parents in some traumatic way or another? Standard.
Well, that's true, but I don't know, it seems a bit hokey. I mean, my problem with Iron Fist, despite the fact that back in the 70s he supported a very deep V, all the way down to his pubis, it's just that it is a little hokey. He goes through 10 years of training, and at the end, he has to fight this Kung Fu master to pass the old Dragon Warrior test, or whatever it's called. And wouldn't you know, this Kung Fu master turns out to shoot knives from his hands, because much like every villain Danny Rand goes and faces for the next 10 years is some kind of Kung Fu robot. Of course they are. Of course they are. Of course there's Kung Fu robots. But yeah, I struggle with his costume, and I struggle with the general cheesiness of it, although it is quite a dark story. Within 4 issues, he's already left the city, not before the Lord of Kunlun goes, by the way, I'm your uncle, please stay. And he's like, oh, you've waited 10 years to tell me that we're related. Well, no, I'm not going to stay. I'm going to go avenge my father's death.
I'm off to New York.
I'm off to New York. He doesn't even bother changing. He just struts down New York with his yellow handkerchief over his head and his yellow plimsolls on and just skin-tight green lycra.
That's gonna honk, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Gonna get a bit sweaty.
I don't know how he got on the plane with it, to be honest. But yeah, he kicks fuck out of a couple of robots, and then in the fourth issue,
And a few ninjas.
Yeah. In the fourth issue, it's kind of like a reverse Die Hard. He goes to by his evil moustached business rival.
It's Harold Meacham, his name.
Harold Meacham.
Dodgy name, that.
Yeah. He's tracking Meacham down, and just every floor is a trap upon a trap upon a trap. So there's like machine guns on sticks. And the answer to everything is just kung fu them.
Yeah.
So he kung fu's the machine guns on sticks, but wouldn't you know, it's just a distraction because there's a trapdoor underneath. And he eventually catches up with your man Meacham, only to find out that Meacham's been like, "Oh, I knew this day was coming for 10 years. I knew you were going to come back and beat me up, but I've got no legs. Because when I tried to run away in the Tibetan mountains, I lost my legs. And I was nursed back to health by the villagers, and they were like, "Oh, that city, Kunlun, everyone that goes there is really nice, and everyone that learns kung fu is nice. I don't know why anyone would like want to kill anyone." And he's like, "Oh, I'm so guilty, and you're all nice to me and nursed me back to health, even though you cut my legs off because they were frostbitten, and I'm still kind of evil, but
I've learnt the error of my ways.
Despite trying to kill you for this entire episode, I'm conflicted." To which Danny's like, "Well, you've lost your legs," and then he just walks away.
And there's a mysterious ninja chap who's appeared in like a few of those issues leading up to this, who kills Meacham.
Yeah, the Deus Ex Machina ninja.
Yeah. It's never explained in the 4 issues, which is the origin story of who this guy is.
Yeah.
I think the problem with it, you kind of summed up, it's kind of a bit by the numbers and a bit convoluted. I think there's like 3 different writers involved.
Yeah, each one seems to cover crescendo of a robot ninja or kung fu man. I can't see how this could be rebooted into the Marvel universe we know now of Daredevil and Jessica Jones. Iron Fist is quite complicated. There's a few different versions and shades of him. Like the Iron Fist you get with like Power Man is a bit more hip and relatable, and I think that's the one they're going to go with. Like he has a sort of like Adidas style tracksuit now instead of like his hang glider collared lycra.
Yeah.
So he's more relatable. I can't see them using the Iron Fist origin that's in the comics because it just doesn't fit in. But also in other Iron Fist runs, it's very supernatural. He's always like punching fuck out of a dragon or some ancient kung fu spirit, and I just don't know how this is going to fit in. Because I mean, sure enough, Daredevil got his powers from chemicals.
Yeah.
Luke Cage was experimented on. Jessica Jones was born a bit special.
But aren't we all?
Aren't we all? Danny Rand punched buckets of grits for 10 years, then fought a dragon, and then
got the power of the dragon.
The power of the dragon, killed the dragon, gave it a bear hug, which burned a dragon tattoo onto his chest, and then punched the dragon's heart repeatedly until he had dragon's blood on his hands that gave him the power of the dragon, the Iron Fist. So I can't see how this is going to cross over.
I think they are going to go heavy on the mystical side. You haven't read Immortal Iron Fist, have you?
No.
So the idea with that is it took this myth and built upon it by saying that this Danny Rand's the latest Iron Fist.
Yeah.
But there have been many before him. It's a bit Buffy, actually, the kind of idea that there's like one.
So every generation is born an Iron Fist.
Pretty much. They're worth cracking on.
Okay.
That kind of goes a bit deeper into the mythology of it all. And I think they'll go heavy on. I think they'll do that. I think they'll go heavy on that with the Netflix series. I think they'll get rid of some of the hokey stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, in the comics, when Danny comes back, he wants to get his company back, which has been taken over by Meacham, who obviously in the comics lost his legs, but took the company. So I think we'll probably see that. I think he's going to be a very different kind of character to what we've seen before. So I've got a feeling he'll be the kind of almost like the equivalent of Tony Stark, where he'll be like the big business guy. Bit of Tony Stark, bit of Bruce Wayne. So in Batman Begins, when Bruce Wayne comes back, he's like the prodigal son returned. I imagine it's going to be something like that, where he's kind of a bit of a Bruce Wayne type character, a bit of a celebrity, because he's come back from the dead after 10 years.
Yeah.
Has a big company, but at night gets on the
Adidas.
Gets on the Adidas
It's going to be one of them. I mean, that would fit in with Daredevil, certainly.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm interested to see how they're going to do it. And we've got a long time to wait for it. But yeah, you mentioned like the new look for the character. So Marvel have just relaunched Power Man and Iron Fist which I think we both liked, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And they've aged the characters nicely, so they're not like superpowered teens. They're more in their middle ages.
Yeah.
Like Luke Cage has definitely got a bit of a dad bod on the go. So like you're used to Luke Cage, having unbreakable skin and being buff as fuck, but in this one he's got, he's lost the hair on his head and has a beard, and has a bit of a dad bod on the go.
And there's a reason for that, because he's now a dad.
Well, he's now a dad, yeah. In this timeline, he's a dad.
Married to Jessica Jones.
Oh, good.
And similarly, Danny Rand is a bit older and a bit wiser. Isn't a teenager anymore, but still very cocky. Hasn't seemed to. He may have grown up physically, but not mentally.
He's still looking for the adventure and still looking to kind of become a kind of superhero. Because what the back in the 80s when Power-Man and Iron Fist kind of collaborated as a comic, they were both separate titles. Like, they create what they called Heroes for Hire. It is what it sounds like. That could be something that could work for Netflix if it went down that route.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that you could hire a couple of superheroes. That's not something that's actually been done before on TV or film, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. The one bit I hope they do keep is the training montage where Danny ages 10 years and is taught Kung Fu. Because it has one of my favourite panels of all time. He's being schooled by his Kung Fu master. And one of the trials he has to face is there's basically like a snake that's coiled up on a stick. And they've tied a little crown to it. Like a little birthday hat. Yeah. The snake's got like a birthday party crown on it. Tied with a bit of string under its snake chin. And one of the tasks that Danny has to do is punch the crown off the snake's head. Which he does a mere 3 panels later. But I just thought that is something straight out of the 70s. Probably not going to make it to TV. I'd love it if it did.
They haven't started filming it, so I think we can lobby for that to happen.
Lobby, hashtag snake punch. But fair enough. I went into this knowing very little about Iron Fist, and now I'm super excited for it. I think you're right. If they drop the hokey and fine with the mystical, I think you'll be a great addition to Marvel's TV universe, and I can't wait.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. So yeah, I recommend people to check out Power and Iron Fist, which is I think it's on issue 2. It's just come out now.
Yeah, you should be able to catch issue 1.
Yeah, written by David Walker, drawn by Sanford Green. Kind of really cool art style actually. They've kind of done a very contemporary, quirky art style. Like you mentioned about the new look for Luke Cage. It's not necessarily manga-esque, but it's got certain...
It's exaggerated slightly,
exaggerated styling. So, you've got a kind of... Danny Rand's got, like, skinny chicken legs in his Adidas Lycra jumpsuit, and you got Luke is just, like, top-heavy.
Buff as hell.
Yeah, but, like almost Hulk-level kind of buff. But it works. I like it. It's cool.
Where do you both stand on this controversy, then, about how they've whitewashed yet another comic book hero?
But they haven't whitewashed, have they? That's the thing. I mean, Danny Rand was a white Caucasian character in the comics, so I actually see both sides of this argument. The argument is that some people feel that it was an opportunity for the Marvel universe, TV universe, film universe, to have a bit of diversity by casting an Asian American. I feel it's a missed opportunity for sure, but it's not whitewashing a character. Some people feel really strongly about this and feel that, they'd be really upset if they did cast an Asian American because it's, the reverse of whitewashing. But I've got no problems either way. Character itself is an outsider. So it doesn't matter if he's Caucasian or Asian American. It wouldn't have damaged the character. You still have that aspect of being an outsider. But I don't know. Part of me feels that if they did cast an Asian American, you then open it up to accusations of being racist, where you've got an Asian American being really good at Kung Fu. Yeah,
what's his superpower? Oh, it's Kung Fu.
Yeah, so
he's Asian.
So I don't know, it's kind of a bit of a tricky one really. It's like, I think they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. I definitely see both sides. It was funny when they announced Finn Jones casting, the amount of people on Twitter who were, getting irate and accusing Netflix and Marvel of being racist, and it was like they clearly didn't have any understanding of the character at all. They probably never even heard of Iron Fist before.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that I did hear discussed was the idea that the original Iron Fist comics were kind of accusations of them being yellow peril, where it was, using racial stereotypes. It's not something I remember when I first read it, and I reread it before I lent them to Neil.
Mm.
I don't know how you feel about it, but I don't remember there being like any kind of.
I was braced for the worst, and I really didn't see anything other than some questionable mustaches.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything that screamed out.
There was no kind of like racially written dialogue, if you know what I mean. I'm not, to elaborate. I'm sure you
do an impression. It was just, I was braced for the worst, but I think a lot of it probably comes from the fact that they were so eager to like push this out. I think a lot of the writers didn't really have much of a sense of what kung fu was, or even wanted to like tread into like any like Asian culture for fear of making a mistake. So it's literally a lot of people in masks or robots having like generic dragon chops and monkey punches, and they throw in terms like this, but I don't think anyone really knew anything about kung fu or the culture it came from. So it's just an excuse to keep Danny fighting in as many panels as possible. They just throw him into any situation. So there was nothing certainly in terms of like Yellow Peril. Like I used to read a lot of, or even watch like a lot of the old Fu Manchu films and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When they were still on TV in the 80s. And like that, I would be worried about coming on TV now. But
well, actually, around the same time, Marvel had a series called The Master of Kung Fu, which is a character called Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
And his dad was Fu Manchu, and it was the kind of the classic Fu Manchu look, with the big kind of pointy moustache. And I remember that, even as a kid, being a bit.
Yeah, but I mean, 4 issues in, I'd be willing to dig back deeper, but I've not seen anything that runs the risk of Yellow Peril. I think where I picked up the story after this was the first sort of collaboration between Power Fist and Iron Man. And it was more a case of they were running into villains of like blaxploitation, which is because obviously they started Luke Cage off the back, as Iron Fist started off the back of like, you know, Kung Fu fever. But Luke Cage was started off the blaxploitation craze. So like a lot of them was just like, damn, I've built myself a big black robot that's going to fight you. And his name is like Knuckles McGee. And you're like, right, okay. And just, you know, every character is dressed like an elaborate pimp and stuff like this. Like that really suffers of dating in the time. But, you know, you've come across Luke Jones and Jessica Jones now. Luke Jones?
Luke Jones.
Luke Jones and Jessica Jones. You come across him on TV now, and I think they've definitely put that ghost to bed.
Yeah, they did it really well.
If anyone suffered from slightly tenuous roots, it was definitely Luke Cage more so than Iron Fist.
Sure. No, I totally agree. I don't know. I think let's give Finn Jones a chance. There's scope for them to be more diverse in other characters they have in that, I guess. You know, I think there's... But yeah, I think there is definitely argument that we should have, you know, Asian American superheroes. I think
like it's different, sort of, not to say that I know it all, because I don't, absolutely not know it all. But it is different, the reception for that kind of thing out in the States than it is in the UK, though. You know, racism just on a general day-to-day basis is so much more prevalent, really, and obvious in the US than it is in the UK. So I'm not sure that I don't disagree with anything you're saying. In fact, what you're saying makes sense, but it just doesn't really translate the same in the US, because I was reading something like it's like 38% of network TV shows feature an Asian actor. That's ridiculous. And any Asian actors that are completely underrepresented in the fact that they're just support actors. And it's really not that much different for African American actors either, to be totally honest. Like, things haven't really moved on as much as you think that they probably have. And so when it comes to Iron Fist, for example, I'm completely in agreement with you. He wasn't an Asian character to start with. If you cast an Asian character now, you're going to get shit from both sides of the fence.
So yeah, I still think they could have done it. I think they could have done it, and they could have. For me, the crux is whether the character is true to their origin, like who they're supposed to be. Like, say, Danny is supposed to be an outsider, and you absolutely could have done that with an Asian American actor. But I think, you know, you would have opened up to a lot of abuse. People going, well, you're just making this guy a kung fu expert because he's Asian.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a problem that Marvel is facing. I don't know if Black Panther is going to do anything to address that, but like, you just look at the cast of the Avengers, and here we have like the cast of the Netflix series, there's not a lot of diversity going on.
No. Well, there was a whole backlash for the Oscars as well, wasn't it? I mean, I think just generally in Hollywood, film and and TV, there's not a lot of diversity there.
I had this conversation with Stu, and I speak fairly openly about this because I just don't think that I'm wrong.
But, I'm so modest.
Yeah, I just don't. I feel really passionately about this. But when I first moved to America, obviously coming from little old England, where you all just get on with it, don't you, up to a point? I don't think that racism is really as in your face as it is in America, to be honest. And I definitely don't remember ever seeing anything that I would regard as racism happening in front of me with any of my black friends or Asian friends in the UK. But moving and living in the US, it's a whole different kettle of fish. It's completely different. And when I first moved here, I couldn't understand why there were things like the BET channel. I couldn't understand that. Why were there BET awards, like specific awards for African American artists, actors, and people in the media? There's the African American Journalism Awards that happen out here as well, that one of my friends goes to every single year. So I kind of sap him for really kind of his knowledge and his take on everything. And I think from what I see here and from what I understand is that if you're a underrepresented group of people, then you need to have things or something that bring you together as a collective. So if you have African American specific artist awards and things like that, that's where you get acknowledged for your skill and for your achievements and things like that. And then it makes it even more justified when you see something like the Oscars, where it is completely Hollywood whitewashed. And I absolutely agree with that. And for me, as a white middle-class female, I feel like it's important that we have an understanding of why there are things where marginalized groups of people are representing themselves and getting awarded for their achievements. And I completely agree with that. So when it comes to like TV being whitewashed, I feel like I notice it more and more and more than when I lived in the UK, and it really makes me sick to my stomach. So I feel quite passionately about it, to be totally honest.
Get tweeting. Tweet everyone. Tweet the Oscars. Yeah. Tweet Netflix.
Netflix so white.
Yeah.
I suppose you're right. I mean, there really hasn't been a lot of diversification in superhero culture, especially not in TV.
No.
That I could care to mention. I mean, the last time I can think of a genuine Asian American hero on TV is probably like Bruce Lee as Kato in the Green Hornet, and that was 50 years ago.
And it's a complete caricature as well.
Yeah,
it's a
it was.
Of an Asian man, and it's annoying. It's really annoying, and it's not fair.
I say, if they had cast an Asian American as Iron Fist, you'd get that. Nothing's moved on since Kato.
Yeah.
But then the argument would be he'll be the lead actor, so I guess that's the takeaway, really. I think if they had done that, it'd be a lead role.
Yeah. I know, it's just silly, isn't it? Like with Nic Cage. Like I remember when I watched Jessica Jones, and I was like, ooh.
You mean Luke Cage?
Nick Cage.
Oh my god, Nic Cage would be incredible.
Yeah. Nic Cage, yeah. When Nic Cage was in Jessica Jones, no, Luke.
Inspired casting.
When Luke Cage is in Jessica Jones, and I never read any of those comics or anything, so I wasn't really knowing what to expect. And it's just a bit of a sad day in 2015 or 2016 when you're like, oh, look, brilliant. There's an African-American actor who's got like a big part in a TV show. Like, you shouldn't think like that. That shouldn't be how we're thinking. It just shouldn't matter. It should just be what it is.
I told you guys before, Nic Cage got his name from Luke Cage. Birth name's Coppola. So he went to Hollywood. He basically chose his favourite superhero character, which was Luke Cage, as his new Hollywood name.
I keep doing it. I keep calling him Nic Cage. It's really fucking annoying.
You're not far wrong.
There we go. Of all things, Nic Cage leading the charge.
Exactly.
One way or another.
Did you see those photos that were leaked of the real Nic Cage when he was meant to play Superman at some point? So
Tim Burton's Superman Lives or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They kind of It's awful.
Oh, did you think so? I thought it looked brilliant.
It was like a metal suit, wasn't it? But like kind of
Yeah, it's mental.
day glow and kind of, I don't know, it looked a bit, I don't know.
And
He had a bit of a mullet going on, didn't he?
yeah, it's when he had his long hair and he like dyed it black and it was sort of a bit curly and it all looked a little bit weird and a bit sexy.
Really?
Oh no, Carly.
Well, it was like Dark Superman. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, his documentary came out last year. I think, it's called like the death and birth of Superman Lives or something. It's to Netflix, hopefully.
To Netflix. I never thought we were going to end a segment on Iron Fist of how much Carly fancies Nic Cage's Superman.
Yeah, mullet, receding hairline.
No, you're getting it wrong, boys. It's not Nic Cage. It's just like Tim Burton, Dark Superman being all weird, and that's it. It's not Nic Cage.
What could have been?
Face off. I wish you could see me now. I'm doing the face off thing.
We'll just imagine.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to something else.
One thing I've noticed, actually, looking at, we've got Iron Fist here from 1974. We've got the new Power Man and Iron Fist. Comics have gone up in price, haven't they?
Certainly have.
25 cents back in the day, 1974.
How much now?
$3.99.
Oh, it's a mugs game.
Yeah.
Absolute mugs game.
Anyway.
Don't read comics, anyone.
Don't read comics.
Cripple you.
So what have you been reading now? Anything else you've been reading recently?
Nope.
Okay, that was quick. Next one. So I've got one for you. I picked up a copy of Haunted Love from IDW and Yo Comics, which is basically reprints of some 50s strips from the States. And these are the kind of comic strips that got banned. There was a whole kind of movement in the 50s led by a guy called Frederick Wortham. He basically said comic books are making kids evil and twisted.
And they do, to be fair.
And they do.
They do.
And this ended up introducing what was known as the Comics Code Authority, which I think until recently you'd find plus on the logos of all like your Marvel and DC, and basically cleaned up comics, and basically every comic had to go through this authority to make sure there's no bad language or over-the-top violence or sex or anything.
Heaven forbid.
Anything remotely entertaining.
Yeah.
So, Haunted Love, got the first issue. It's a nice little anthology. I say nice, it's actually really dark and twisted. So you've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've got about 7 tales in this first issue. The first one's about a young girl who's basically brought up by her grandmother, who, wouldn't you know, turns out to be a witch.
Oh.
And teaches her that all men are evil, and they are, keep away from them, and teaches her granddaughter how to turn men into worms, which literally they are worms with a human head at the top.
Oh, brilliant!
So yes, lovely Lorna, as she's known, grows up thinking all men are evil and just worms, and as it happens, ends up falling in love with one.
Oh.
So in classical twist in the tale, she accidentally turns the love of her life into a worm and treads on him.
You don't see that in Jeremy Kyle very often.
You don't. So yeah, I thought it was really, really fun. I mean, it's literally pick up, great for reading the loo, if you want to do that kind of thing.
Wow.
So there's that story. There's another one where you've got a married couple who are having problems, and she's getting on her husband about, I want a refrigerator. Go and get me a refrigerator. I'm getting sick and tired of the Iceman turning up with big blocks of ice to keep the food chilled. Get me a fridge. He's like, no, we can't afford it, you know. My salesman job's not bringing enough money in. Can't afford one of those newfangled refrigerators. You have to make do with the ice blocks. She's not happy about this at all. Until a new ice delivery chap turns up, who she instantly falls in love with, has a steaming hot affair.
Oh, Christ.
And they both conspire to bump off her husband. Doesn't go according to plan.
Right.
Husband gets wind of it.
Right.
Ends up chopping up the lover and putting each bit in a block of ice.
Ooh.
And then that's the kind of final panel revealing what's happened to...
But still no fridge.
Still no fridge.
No
fridge.
Bloody fridge.
So I think if you're looking for something a bit different and looking at where comics came from, these are worth checking out. I mean, they are like very, very hokey, very simple. You can kind of see why people got a bit bent out of shape on this. I mean, I've picked up a comic when I was 10 in the newsagents in the UK called Scream. It was from the guys who did 2000 AD, and it didn't even last 6 months.
But then many of them don't.
Yeah, and it was kind of, at the time, I remember my mum actually banning me from buying it.
Ooh.
Because you had like a series of Dracula, but it was Dracula in the modern day. And by modern day, I mean early 1980s.
Uh-huh.
So it's very dated now. You had loads of little twists in the tail stories, very similar to what they're doing with Haunted Love. But yeah, I think horror comics are kind of a bit underrated, really. I think there's...
You want to see them come back?
A bit of a comeback would be good. So I recommend you check that one out.
All right, support your local horror comic. Meanwhile,
what are you reading?
500 million miles across the sea, Carly's been reading a comic.
Yeah, well, actually, I was going to start reading Lock and Key first, but I was recommended wisely to read The Troop. And it's written by, what's his name? Noel Clarke, who was the screenwriter for like Kidulthood and has been in loads of other stuff. And I believe this is his first comic that he's written. And it's published by Titan as well, which is good. UK represent. And but it's really good. I'm on the 3rd issue now.
Okay.
And it's good. It's all a bit mysterious. All around the world, there are people with abilities. It's not like X-Men. But it's not, because that's what I thought. Like the first issue, I was just like, oh, is this just going to be sort of like an indie X-Men? It's going to be really annoying, but it isn't. So yeah, they've got these abilities that they obviously have to keep secret. But from what I understand, and it's not telling too much, is that there is an organisation that's religious based, like scary religious people that know about these people with abilities and basically like they stalk them and then eventually hunt them down. For what reason, I don't know yet. But there's another guy who's this rich businessman who also tracks them down in the hope to rescue them for a purpose of which I don't know yet. So it's all a bit mysterious, and I've got to the end of the 2nd issue is when you start to unravel the story of this rich businessman called Edward, who's on this like one-man mission to rescue all of these people with abilities, and getting to the reasons as to why. He's very secretive. He's got endless amounts of money, houses these people, but we don't know why yet. So it's good. It is good. And like just a few minutes into reading the first issue, it just kicks off right away. It's really got a lot of action in it. The artwork is really nice. There's not heaps of like dialogue boxes or anything, so you can kind of rattle through it. And I mean, I know Stu and we've had this conversation before, but the artwork kind of tells the story as well as the writing. So it's really good. It's really, really interesting, and I think that I'm just sort of scraping the surface of it really. So I've got quite high hopes for it.
Is it an ongoing series, or is it like a limited series? Do you know? Or...
I don't know actually.
Okay.
I think.
What sort of abilities are we talking about here?
Well, one girl, her name's Sophie, but her alias, I guess, is terrain. So she can morph herself into like any kind of terrain that's around her. There's another a young girl who can infect you with any kind of infectious disease. So
right.
she killed somebody.
I knew a girl like that.
I think she's a bit young for that.
Okay.
But she killed her dad because he was really abusive to her and her mum, and she killed him by way of extreme conjunctivitis and boils on the skin, which was pretty gross. Yeah. And another woman who can morph into water, so if she gets to any body of water, she can kind of become one with water. And then another guy who can turn things into anything, so he'll just yell sand and people's guns will turn into sand and disintegrate and things like that. Isn't it strange, however, that when you're that when you're talking about superheroes and their abilities, that you just sound like a right bloody plum?
It's a hard thing to make sound cool, but at the same time, you're right. It is different than the X-Men. Those are that sort of stuff that I'm going to say you would never see, but
It
Who
does
knows? There's been a
sound-
lot.
yeah.
There's been a lot of abilities, but no, it does sound certainly refreshing.
Yeah, and I think what I like about it is that there's more to it as well. Like, and as I say, like with anything, I've just started it, and there's lots of directions that it could go. And I really like the kind of like cult religious organization element of it. That are trying to track them down for what purpose, don't know yet. But I quite like that kind of aspect to it, and also the stories, like I guess the origin stories behind each character are really interesting, and
They're
uh,
always the best bits.
yeah, and it seems like they're not really afraid to, for example, the girl who can turn herself into water, she comes home one day to find that her roommate looks like she's committed suicide and slashed her wrists in the bath. There's a suicide note and everything. But it turns out that it's one of the guys from school is a bit of a freak murderer. So he tries to kill her as well. And that's how she realizes that she has abilities, is because he seems to have done it. It's suggested that he raped her and then murdered her after. He's a rich kid. His family knows that he does this, and his dad basically does the cleanup for him after. So they think that they've killed her, but then she realizes on death's door that she has this particular superpower. So, it touches fairly dark sort of elements to things, which is cool. So, yeah. I'm enjoying it.
Not aimed at kids, then. It's obviously aimed at adults.
Yeah, definitely.
Sounds a bit like the TV show Heroes, the idea of this kind of conspiracy going on.
Yeah.
You haven't seen the new miniseries they brought back recently?
No, I haven't. I keep meaning to do so.
Marks out of 5 for the troop then, Carly?
So far, I am going to give it a decent 4.
Ooh. Okay. A decent 4.
Yeah.
We need to have like an official like rating scale of what a decent anything is. But a decent 4 out of 5 is
a decent 4. Yeah, so far so good.
So you're in it for the long haul then?
Yeah, I'm going to commit to it.
All right. Well, if you're listening, people behind the troop, and want to put a decent 4 out of 5 by Carly Bam Comic Cast,
yeah,
support
English writers.
Yeah, get in touch, Titan. We've got a cover quote for you. What now, Stu?
That's probably it, really.
Probably it. So I'll go to bed.
What are we going to talk about coming up in the next few? I guess we've got Batman vs Superman opens next week.
Yep.
You
going to go and see it?
Yeah. But when, I don't know yet.
Okay. I've got my tickets booked.
Yeah, I'll see it opening weekend. What else is coming up?
We'll probably have to talk about Daredevil Season 2 once Carly's caught up.
Have you watched any of it yet?
I've watched it all. What about you now?
I'm on the 3rd episode. Just
Same
finished the 3rd. Ooh.
Twinning!
So I think we'll have to do... Yeah, we need to talk about this.
What, the fact that me and Carly are twins?
Yeah.
And now have a hashtag twinning?
Yeah. Fuck's sake. Yeah, Daredevil Season 2. I don't know. I mean, I'm still mulling it over. I only finished watching it this morning. Gonna put it out there. Not as good as the first series.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah. To be honest, there is some great stuff. It's still better than a lot of TV out there. But as a whole, I mean, towards the end of the series, it kind of really loses its way. But yeah, let's all watch it and then let's all discuss.
All right.
In more detail.
All right. Hopefully, Carly will be back with us.
When you come back to the UK, Carly?
Don't know yet, my little loves.
Never.
No. No, I will.
She's an international podcast star now. Wherever she lays her microphone.
That's my home.
There we go.
No, I think probably towards the end of May, perhaps.
All right. Fair play.
Maybe. I don't know yet.
Yeah. So we've got Batman, Superman, we've got Daredevil to talk about.
And then we're creeping into Civil War territory.
Oh God, we are. That's the thing. Did you see that Marvel are now doing Civil War 2?
Yes, that comes out in June. Oddly enough, I was in a comic shop this morning and they're doing a launch party for it.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time a comic's ever had a launch party.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. I mean, in the original Civil War, which has been adapted for the movie, it was Tony Stark, Iron Man versus Steve Rogers, Captain America. This time around, we don't know much about the story other than it's Tony Stark, Iron Man versus Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel.
Crumbs. Which side are you on?
I don't know yet. I need to know what the argument's about. I mean, with the original series, it was about superheroes registering with the government, revealing their identities, becoming employees of the US government. This time around, we're not quite sure what the moral quandary is.
So I see the tagline is you can either save the future, which is Team Tony, or change the future, which is Team Captain Marvel.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
We do know that they're talking about a major Marvel hero buying the farm
Ooh.
in the first issue, which is kind of what kicks off this kind of big catalyst. But as with anything in comic books, nothing's permanent, so whoever they do can't it. I'm sure we'll be back next year.
Yeah. I am initially going to side with Captain Marvel.
Just because.
Just because in the promotional art, Team Tony has Daredevil on it. Daredevil can fuck off.
You're not a Daredevil fan?
No, I'm not. I don't know whether we've ever covered this on the podcast before, but there we go. I've
didn't
already
know
made up
that
my
you
mind.
were so adverse to Daredevil. I didn't.
Did this come as a shock to you?
It's kind of.
Do you know why it is?
Go on.
No.
Because I meant Deadpool.
He's done it again.
Fucked it.
So basically, you're anti-Deadpool.
I'm anti-Deadpool.
We knew that. We know that.
Yeah, we know that.
Okay.
Whole fucking tangent ruined.
Brilliant.
Daredevil and Deadpool to you are my Nic Cage and Luke Cage for me.
Oh, fuck.
On that bombshell.
On that edited out bombshell. We're done. All right.
So, thanks for listening. You can find us on Twitter.
Yeah, you can.
Bam Comics Cast.
Yeah, you can.
And we're on YouTube now.
We're everywhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're on iTunes. Give us a like. Give us a review. Spread the
helps.
word.
It helps. Or, if you think it's been rubbish, tell us we've been rubbish. How we can
Actually,
get better.
no, scrap that. Don't say anything. We don't like criticism. Keep it to yourself.
We don't want to grow. No matter at what cost, we don't want criticism. Keep your criticism. Choke on your criticism.
See you again soon.
It's your own fault.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Can't believe I fucked that last gag.
I was like,